Hi everyone, Graham Couch here from the Lansing State Journal, along with Detroit Free Press colleague Chris Solari, after what was not a very good day for Michigan State here at Purdue at Mackey Arena, and we've seen a lot of that.
Not to this extent.
Not to this extent. 71-42, Purdue over Michigan State, and this was not just this was a Purdue team, first of all, that didn't look like it had the offense to run away from many people. Did a Virginia team that's really down earlier this year, but it wasn't just the shooting. Yeah, there are things that happened. Evan Boudreaux hitting 3 threes, and he was 1 for 13 coming in on the season, and all that stuff. But they were, that's God's work. Nothing you can do with that. That they were out tough, they were out rebounded, they turned the ball over a ton. Cassius Winston didn't seem to have the usual bounce to him, and their defense was really effective.
Well, and that's the big thing is their defense. I mean, they picked up Winston in the front court, so that cuts out the break. And once you start cutting out the break for this Michigan State offense, it gets a little choppier. That's what makes them flow. And then you get into the half court and you start seeing Winston getting double teamed off some ball screens. They hedged out high. He battled that all day. And when you've got long athletic guards like Purdue has, that's a disruptive thing for him. And there's not a secondary guy that was stepping up. Aaron Henry was MIA for long stretches in this game. He had 3 shot attempts in the first half and 2 of them were blocked. Wasn't crashing the boards outside of the first minute and a half. So there were quite a bit of things where you look at this and say, this is not a common Michigan State game, but again, a lot of that I think goes to Purdue, and I thought Painter's game plan was great and he executed it very well.
One thing, the toughness aspect, like you're going to get blitzed on the road once in a while, and you've got to have the toughness to overcome it. Last year's team, for example, I think would have, like you think about the game here last year, they did get blitzed, but they came all the way back. That was a much better Purdue team than this. And that Michigan State team nearly came back and won the game anyway. You see it in this team. Like they didn't. Like I thought Julius Marble came in late in the half and showed some of that. But early on, even guys you expected from didn't seem to have it. They were confused on switches. But there comes a certain point where you're in a game like this and you've got to grab rebounds. And Aaron Henry, for example, was great on one of the early possessions. Grabs 2 offensive rebounds. And then he just would have periods where he's just kind of out there.
He had one more the rest of the half.
Yeah.
And I think he finished with around 5.
Yeah.
He finished with 1 3-pointer. I think it was Michigan State's first 3-pointer. They were 0 for 9 to start the game.
Yeah.
But outside of that was the only shot he hit. He's one of many, though. It wasn't just Aaron Henry. I mean, Winston obviously was so bothered, turned it over 9 times.
Yeah, you're not going to win. If Cassius Winston looks like that, they're going to lose other games. You're not going to win a lot of games.
What I thought was really interesting in talking to some of the guys in the locker room, especially Xavier Tillman, he talked about how quick Purdue was and how the ball was flowing with them. And what you saw from Purdue was very much what you've seen from Michigan State. There was a high assist to bucket ratio, and on the other end, they cut that out for Michigan State. The efficiency on offense was down. Credit Purdue's defense. I thought Hunter did a tremendous job on Winston all day.
Yeah, no, Purdue played very. This isn't just a Michigan State played awful, but you have to expect this from Purdue. Is what I mean. You should. And Michigan State did not play well. And they did not fight. When they got to within about 10 points, 13 points in the second half, a bunch of times, and it looked like they were just a runaway against a team that has some serious offensive challenges, and they couldn't get that run. And you get guys like young guys, Malik Hall, for example. He hits 1 big 3. The guy plays 7.5 minutes.
His charge was in a bad moment.
But he also has 0 rebounds.
Yep.
And he played in his 7.5 minutes. There were 15 missed shots. And in his 5.5 minutes in the first half, there were 12 missed shots, 3 offensive rebounds. Like you got to be part of the solution to that when you're out there. And those are things that you take away some of those offensive rebounds, which led to secondary chances and real momentum plays and shots. It's a different game.
Yeah, and I think if you're Tom Izzo, and he talked about feeling embarrassed, saying he wants to jump out of the plane on the way home, which I thought was pretty interesting and funny. But they've got one game now in the next 11 days. They play Friday against Wisconsin. It's time to work on themselves. And I thought it was interesting when he said we did not have the same kind of practice time that we needed in December. That's what they got to use this time for.
Yeah, and look, the Wisconsin game will be interesting in this sense because, and a lot of it now is what does this mean, right? What are there problems that are and yes, there were communication problems offensively. The way people played Winston was interesting, but as Izzo brought up, hey, you better have the athletes and the guys to play that hard, and they'll be ready for it. Not many teams can pull off what they did, but the Wisconsin is emerging. They're playing pretty well right now. quite a bit better. And then you get a back-to-back on the road the following week at Indiana, at Minnesota. And to me, that'll be really telling. That's the next time you're going to hit 2 straight environments. Maybe not always quite like this, but pretty close.
Michigan State struggled historically at the barn. Not necessarily in losses, but in some really close, memorable games.
And Indiana's playing a little bit better now. And those are that you will see if there are characteristics that are a real problem. And that goes throughout. And again, it goes for guys like Aaron Henry. You've got to show up in games like this. Aaron Henry can fit in when they're winning by 12 at home.
Yep.
He can take over 5 minutes. He can play good defense. He can facilitate. Games like this, Aaron Henry has to be a bad man, and he wasn't tonight.
And that's interesting you mentioned that, because I talked to him in the locker room after the last game the other night against Minnesota, and he said, hey, if Winston and Tillman are playing at this high a level, hey, I'm comfortable just backing up.
Yeah.
You're right. He cannot be that. If you want to be part of the big three, as Izzo has called them, you have to be aggressive and attacking at all times. Whether or not Cassius Winston and Xavier Tillman are playing at a high level or not, that offense goes much better when you have that third option.
And maybe having him on the ball for a bit, or Watts on the ball, and getting Cassius Winston away from the ball would be helpful. Today I have not seen Aaron Henry as dejected as I saw him in the locker room today, and usually he is a guy who will engage with you and really have a conversation even when he's struggling. Today he was in really no mood for it, and that speaks to his. He knows. Xavier Tillman talked about it. He gets down. He starts overthinking things. He thinks about people's reactions. He's a sensitive kid, and that's a problem.
Indiana kid too, so he's not far from home.
Yeah.
And now he's going to have to, the next road game, come back to Indiana.
That's a really good point. We'll have complete coverage if you want to read it at freep.com, lsj.com, greenandwhite.com. Thanks for watching.